Hello and welcome to Josie and The Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Josie Ahlquist, and I am loving that you are joining me today because you are in store for a very special episode, the final episode of this season. All of these episodes feature leaders both on campus and off in all walks of life, where we are connecting technology and leadership with a whole lot of heart, soul, and substance. And Josie and The Podcast would not be possible without the sponsorship and support of Campus Sonar, who is a social listening agency for higher education. And we have an announcement to make. We have partnered together in many different ways, but most recently, we have documented good digital leadership and how it's impacting their institutions. And this research that we've been working on is finally available. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Campus Sonar, they are analysts, researched, listened to, and analyzed the digital presence of 194 higher ed presidents and vice presidents over 6 months with the goal of improving our understanding of digital leadership trends and providing recommendations for effective presence for executive leaders. And I was able to apply my frameworks that I've been doing in my previous research and coaching and practice now to couple that all together in an amazing downloadable report called Examining Twitter Influence of Campus Executives. So you can get this at info.campussonar.com/higher ed execs. I am so freaking excited about that report. Talking about influence, do I have a special guest with just a few YouTube subscribers on the podcast today. So let me tell you a little bit about this guy. Lloyd Ahlquist, aka EpicLloyd, is a 2-time Emmy-nominated co-creator of Epic Rap Battles of History. This celebrated YouTube series has amassed over 4 billion views and 14 million subscribers with over 70 episodes, with 12 certified gold records and collaborations from everyone from Key and Peele to T-Pain and Weird Al Yankovic. ERB is widely regarded as one of the most successful digital series of our generation. Lloyd is also a founding member of the improv comedy group Mission Improbable. Mission Improbable is also built to the comedy club in Santa Monica called Emmy's West Side Comedy Theater, who he's a co-owner of. Lloyd has also been part of creating the shows that are brought to college campuses and military bases called A Shot of Reality, which is an award-winning alcohol awareness program, and The C Word, which is their sexual assault prevention program. So Lloyd's got his hands in a lot of different projects. In addition, if you noticed, our last names look pretty familiar. Lloyd is my co-captain, partner in crime. He is my husband. He pays half the rent. No, just kidding. We talk, well, okay, we can debate that. But we had such a fun conversation because this is the last episode of the season. I thought, what better timing to bring him in? And Epic Rap Battles just returned to YouTube for a brand new season 6, which those that have really followed this have had to wait 2 years for. But if you're wondering, did they just twiddle their thumbs until last week? No, there has been build up to this for over a year. A few highlights from the episode to get you excited about this conversation. We do talk a little bit about how we met, scrolling way back to my college days and our first impressions of each other, and then our good old love story, and how that's all evolved today. As we are both creators, he may be a much more well-known creator globally versus my focus and niche, which is higher education. But we talk about how even those two things are merging more and more together and the ways that we manage that and balance it, both being creators under the same roof. And for those that are listening that have nothing to do with higher education or college or just big fans of rap battles, don't worry, we do talk quite a bit about rap battles, how it came to be, what's going on this year, and hopes and plans for the future. So stay tuned for all of that. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. It does have a different feel to it since I'm talking to somebody that I've known for just so very long, 2003. And let us know if you've checked this out. You can find, obviously, both of us on all the socials, and everything we talk about's in the show notes. On Twitter, find me at Josie Ahlquist, and the podcast is at Josie AT Podcast. And then Lloyd is at the EpicLloyd because, as you will find out, the other handle was already taken. Sad face. So again, everything we talk about, resources, photos, all the goodies is found on my website at josieahlquist.com/podcast. Enjoy. Okay, this is a very special episode. It is the final featured guest interview of season 4 of the podcast. And it features someone who's always been behind the scenes and very much in front of the scenes. Let's just be honest. But first time I'm having him on this podcast, my partner in crime, who the internet calls EpicLloyd. I'm sorry, I'm calling you Lloyd in this podcast. Hello, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I felt like we should put an applause sound effect.
There will be.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Shout out to Dante, who edits these. Maybe he can do that for us. It's also pretty special because we're actually recording this live they're always recorded live, but not in the same physical place. And y'all just imagine like a yellow room filled with...
There's some bugs in here, I will say that.
Paraphernalia, like gold records and photos like of your high school band and your mom and me.
Are we allowed to say...
In your office, in your studio.
Yeah.
That's what we're recording. Are you allowed to say?
Are we allowed to say what my high school band was?
We're not there yet.
Oh, we're not there. You guys are going to have to stay tuned.
Stay tuned. No, we first got to do warm-up questions, okay?
Oh, okay.
This guy is going to be the hardest interview guest because I have to manage him.
Yeah, I'm going to be all over the place.
It's okay.
I'm a loose
This will be fun.
cannon.
It's going to be fun. Okay, so I start all my interviews with a question about your bio for us to get to know you more.
Am I supposed to pretend I don't know that because I listen to your podcast?
Listen, let me set this up.
Okay. We're cutting all of that.
All right. No, we're keeping it. Okay, your Twitter bio, that guy from ERB, actor, rapper, raptor. Why is that your bio?
Honestly, I didn't have Twitter until I did the rap battles, and like Twitter kind of came along, and you probably told me to do it. And I was like, all right, well, why are people going to follow me on Twitter? It's not because of the snarky, because I don't say anything snarky. Just basically, I'm that guy from ERB. And then actor, rapper, raptor. I thought that was like, I came up with that like a while later, just like, it would always annoy me when people would be like, hey, I live in Los Angeles. I'm an actor / dancer / magician / hopscotch instructor. But actor and rapper are what I do. And raptor is awesome. So it's kind of fun.
I remember when you came up with that.
Yeah.
And you immediately updated your bio. You're like, I
did a full 360 update.
That's it. So this is also a question I ask everyone is, will you freestyle for us?
Oh, really? That's what you ask
that is the worst. That's the most common question you get, right? The worst one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't mind freestyling.
But you call yourself a rapper, so.
Yeah, I don't mind freestyling. It's just it's putting somebody on the spot in a very weird way. And like you wouldn't walk up to a professor and be like, oh, you're a professor? Lay some knowledge on me, man. You wouldn't do that. So it's kind of
I bet they
weird.
would, though.
They probably would.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Help us warm up. What was the most recent post on Instagram or on Twitter? And why did you post it?
My most recent post on Instagram was me telling my followers that I'm going to be a guest on this podcast. And then before that was...
What about in your grid?
My grid was for the ERB News. We just dropped a video yesterday. So most of the time on my Instagram page, to be honest, it's kind of serving as just an extension of the epic rap battles. I don't naturally post a lot like some people do. So if I'm doing, it is sort of just an advertisement, especially when the rap battles is in season of like, here's what I'm doing, because that's what takes most of my energy. So that was my last post. Basically, just I did a screen cap of the video we uploaded on YouTube, just so I caught a quick video of it and then was like, hey, check it out, it's over here.
So what was in the news video? What are you announcing? This will come out after.
After,
yeah.
Right. Well, the show I do, if you guys listening aren't familiar, I do a YouTube show called Epic Rap Battles of History, and we've been on sort of like a 2.5-year hiatus, and we're coming back with a 6th season. So we make a sort of a sidecar news show called ERB News, which is hosted by Teddy Roosevelt, and that's the voice of me, and he talks like this. What's up? Hello, everyone. I'm Teddy Roosevelt. And he says some curse words every once in a while. But he delivered. He's
passionate.
He's a passionate dude, and so he's the voice of the news. And the news was announcing the date that the first episode of the 6th season is coming out, and that's on April 20th. And also that we just started a Patreon page, which is a really great new platform for artists to get support for their art from the people who love their art. So that was what the news was about. Yeah.
Can you explain what Patreon is in case people don't know?
Patreon is a website that was started by a guy named Jack Conti, who is a musician in a group called Pomplamoose. He was like this cool band. You guys should check him out. And he one year spent like $30,000 on a YouTube video, and then the ad revenue only earned him like $150 back. And he was like, what the heck? So he came up with this idea to ask people who were fans of theirs, because they would tour and stuff, to be like, if you guys like our art, if you like what we do, and you wouldn't mind donating, here's how. And he just put together a site real fast, so you could donate $5 or $10, and you would get special rewards as that patron. And it essentially expanded rapidly from there. So as a patron of say our page, you can get like extra behind the scenes bonuses. You can get discounts on merch. We do live streams. There's a Discord chat you can do. But mostly people are just excited to be a part of something that they like, and that is sort of the magic of Patreon, and it's sort of a model of like how it used to be in the Shakespeare days. That's how those plays got put on. It was just people who had exposable income. Exposable? Yeah. Disposable.
They would expose it out of their satchels.
Exactly. So, people just want to support, and they want to feel like they're a part of something. And you live in Los Angeles for a long enough time, you sort of forget that it's not really the real world here, and people don't have as much access to cool artsy stuff as we do sometimes. If you're living in the middle of, I don't know, rural Colorado or Manchester, England, or anywhere, people want to connect, and it's a great website for that. That was long-winded, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's been fun. I've been behind the scenes since 2010 watching this thing grow, and I've always been pushing y'all to be like accessible and be present, and I mean, the show took off. Like the product of it is what got people so excited. But now I feel like you're going to be able to show up, not just in Patreon, but in other places to really engage with your fans, family.
It feels good. Like it's like, how it's frustrating for me that we do the show that we do, we don't really announce what we're going to do. It's like a secret. So a lot of YouTube channels, content creators, they can get people excited with the hype of what they're about to do by showing them, quick clips of them on set or quick clips of them in a costume. But for what we do, it's all sort of secretive. So anything we do like that is like a leak. Mm-mm. We are lessening that a little bit and giving people the option to take a peek into it. And then, but we mark everything really clear, like, hey, this is a spoiler. If you don't want to know, then don't look at this. But it is nice to be able to talk to them and get input from them. Be like, what do you guys think about this matchup? Or what do you think about this lyric? Or who are the beat makers you like right now? All that stuff is really nice.
Every time I comment on something, they're like, are you the real Josie? I was like, I don't know. No one will ever know. Yeah, Patreon's cool. I've been thinking about it. A lot of podcasts have Patreons. The nice thing for y'all is you already built up years and years of like credibility and community. And so they responded immediately and you weren't just asking them to like invest. So, all right, well, let's take out all social media and mobile and remember what it was like to be kids where there was some technologies. So what was your very first memory of any kind of technology at all?
We had a Commodore 4, I think. It wasn't 64. It was before that. And it was like the first video game we had. And I remember it was like a text video game. It was like, you had to like type in the text of what you were doing. And I lasted like 11 minutes and I was back outside in the trees.
Or maybe the average is 4.
Yeah.
4 minutes.
It was like, type. I'm going to type? Why? There's no one even here. So that I remember that for a hot second. Then, our neighbors got Nintendo and that was, we were hooked on that. And then we got Nintendo and we got Super Mario Brothers and The Legend of Zelda and a wrestling game, I remember. And so that happened. And then, so that in terms of like games. And then I remember my dad owned a company, like a water purification company, and he got like Apple computers really early, those really long, skinny ones with the tiny green screens. And I remember that and being like, oh, look at this Microsoft Paint. I can like draw and stuff in here. And that was my first experience with, any kind of technology that wasn't a game, I guess.
Yeah, video games come up a lot.
Yeah.
The texting, typing thing makes sense for today. You are not a fan of typing.
No.
But
I realized, like, you and me just read Ready Player One, and there's all these references to all these early video games, and there's like, they're called texter games, where they had names for them, where people just dove into those things. And again, I'm not really sure why, but it was a thing. It was a thing. Not for me.
You and I tried to play a video game together once. It didn't go very well.
No, you didn't like it. But you should like the one I have now. It's about cowboys.
Yeah, it was a very traumatic video game. And I ended up hiding behind the couch. Long stories. Okay, so this special episode is also extra special because I put out a call for community questions.
Okay.
And I got a few. So these are questions we're both going to kind of answer and go from there, all right?
Sounds
so
good.
This one...
Actually, no, I'd prefer not to.
Yeah, let's scrap them. Dante, cut this out. Okay, so not surprised we got this question. How did you and Josie meet, and what were your first impressions of each other? Do you want to flip for it? Who's going to?
Yes, we will flip a coin.
No, you go. You were...
Okay, great. I was a pirate, and I sailed to Josie's home and stole her. I was touring, doing comedy shows at an improv comedy group called Mission Improbable, I believe in 2003.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yay! And we came to Josie's campus, and she was on the campus activities board there and was a part of the group that brought us there. And we just hit it off right away. We oftentimes went out to like dinner, or, we would hang out with the students who brought us there, and that happened. And Josie and I, got to talking, and I got in her car when we drove to the restaurant. We talked a little bit more there, and we just hit it off right away, and that's how we met. And we actually have a picture of that very first night, which is really kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll add those to the show notes.
Nice.
This was my last event that I put on in college. It was 2 months before I graduated to head off to grad school at South Dakota State, and I did not want to do it. I wasn't a fan at the time of this improv troupe. I wanted to bring a magician, and our programming board was very democratic. So we would all bring ideas to the table and vote on them. And I was outvoted. So just a couple months earlier, I put on this like blown out prom, which was to this day, it was like the bee's knees at that campus. We didn't call it a prom, like a winter something. And I had just come back from spring break. So I was also just, I was all tan.
Wow.
And I was just all like, college, I'm like ready to box up and kind of start to be done with, right? And then this improv troupe comes on my campus, and this young boy in a sweater vest.
I still have that sweater vest, by the way.
Starts warming up on stage.
There's a funny story about, I was with Pete, the guy I make rap battles with. We were on the same show together. That's how him and I met. And I used to do a lot of freestyling and rapping back in Chicago as a part of like a one-man show that I would do. And I always wanted to bring that to the Mission Improbable show because it was improv comedy, but nobody else could really rap. But Pete was a musician. We would rap sometimes at parties and stuff. And so we tried this one freestyle rap game at the show at your campus, and it went so-so. And we never did it again. And that's the only time I've ever done a freestyle rap game in a Mission Improbable show. So I guess it was good enough.
But they do now.
They do
There's
now.
There's a different version of it.
Yeah,
but back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We
then.
didn't know any different. I don't
know.
think anyone in Brookings, South Dakota had ever seen improv comedy before.
Yeah.
I'm sitting next to my friend Abby, and not only am I like dying laughing, but I'm like, I'm going to marry this guy.
Aw. Didn't you say you liked me even from the poster?
Yeah. It was back in the day when you'd physically get mailers of posters, and there was an iconic photo of you and the original owners.
It's right there. I'm looking at it
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
pointing to something y'all can't see.
Oh, it's the
Again,
picture of us.
We'll add it in the show notes. And he just caught my eye right away. Yep.
Yeah.
We hit it off that night, and then you called me a few days later, and I honestly had already thought, like, there's no way this guy's going to call me. Yeah, I was just in that period of my life where, like, you know,
What do
I
they
was
call that
so
nowadays?
surprised.
You thought I was gonna ghost you?
Me? Yeah. I mean, listen, like, you're a touring comedian.
Yeah.
I had my heart broke a lot that year, and I was like, all right, I just want to have fun. I'm preparing, to like go to this next phase of my life. And then EpicLloyd appears.
Hey. Well, I had been single for like 3 years or something, and it was, I don't know, my mom had died like a year and a half later and earlier, and I was like sad. I was not sad, but like I was, meeting you was like it was just like, I was like, it felt so right for so many reasons. And it was like, I was not going to at least not give it a chance, because playing that game of being single, like you call and then you pretend not to like each other that much, and then you see who's going to show their cards first or whatever. And there wasn't anything about you that was like that. And that's why I wrote that poem about you. It was about, like, I used to write a lot of poetry, y'all.
He did. He wrote me songs.
I did. I wrote her songs. There's a couple songs. Put them in the show notes. But yeah, the whole poem was called Mostly Josie, and it was just about how she was very honest and upfront right away, and it was very real right away. And that was a big change for me, because the dating scene in Chicago was weird, and, it was just like, you just get beat up a little bit, so.
Well, in 2003, we had AOL, Instant Messenger, and MSN, like Hotmail stuff, and phones and email. But we talked for hours and hours. And the one time, though, we had this, like, potential, like, are we doing this or not, was we had this really deep, kind of like spirituality conversation. And then the next day you were like, so are you still, like, in this? I was like, I think so.
Yeah.
Because we differed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
In what we believed.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
But that made it interesting.
Y'all are getting all the goodies about us.
So many.
Yeah,
goodies.
well, so that's meeting, impressions. And I think we've always been creative, but like our careers now are based on creating. So another question is, how does being two extremely creative individuals impact your relationships? Pros and cons, people.
I think the pros of it are that I think we trust one another's taste, and we can go to one another for constructive criticism, and we trust one another's opinion about things, but we don't feel as though we have to take it. Like I don't feel like, I feel like I can disagree with people I respect. So, but if I don't respect them, I don't even bother to listen. So I feel like you and I respect each other's choices so that we can bounce ideas off each other, and that's great. I also think like we understand the highs and lows that you go through as a creative person, and how you get taxed in some ways about, you know, like sometimes you just want the bathtub alone. You know what I mean? I think those are the pros. And I think also like we get each other's humor. We're both sort of funny people, and we laugh, and we, dance to the same tune a lot of the times. And it helps us understand one another's priorities. So yeah. And then the cons, I think, is like, sometimes sharing the same spotlight is like, you need the same thing from one another. If you're both sort of temperamental, artsy, creative people, you both have sometimes you're both unsteady in the same way, and it's hard to balance each other, and sometimes there's you're a speaker and you go to, on campuses, and you go and you talk to these people and stuff. And at the root of it, that's performing. And it's hard to share the spotlight sometimes. To be like, look at me, talk about all the stuff that I did. Okay, now talk about all the stuff you did. And they're the same kind of thing. It's not like you're like, man, I sent this guy to prison today. That trial was awesome. And then we can talk about it or whatever. But so that's sometimes the con of both being performing creative people, in my opinion.
Well, and when we first met, though, that was not the plan. I knew I was on the path to work on a college campus. It really wasn't until, one could say it was because of your creative journey and entrepreneurial spirit rubs off on people around you. I really didn't start until till I really started blogging in 2013, and then the idea to speak kind of evolved from it. But I skirted around people encouraging me to even take improv classes at your theater, because I was like, no, that's Lloyd's thing. I do not let's have some. And then I was really good, you guys.
Yeah, I was solid. I was pretty dead set against, at the beginning of rap battles, I really didn't want those two worlds to blend, to be honest, and we've talked about that, but I think partially because it was very unknown to me. And I saw some other family entertainers, which is kind of gives me the willies sometimes, when one person's doing it because they're in the family and they're just doing it, but they really don't want to be, or their kids are involved in a weird way they didn't have a choice about, or it wasn't the type of entertainment that I would want to watch. And I obviously grow a lot, but I learned that we can figure that out and do it our own way without being that way. You know what I mean? So, but I don't think I could have done it then, as much. So it was nice to have gone through that arc,
Well, at the very beginning, even the YouTubers we were surrounded with were kind of the family vloggers, or more like lifestyle, this is our life we're documenting. And it was hard not to think about, well, how could we document this thing, me and you and Pete or whatever, and it never seemed to fit. And I don't regret any of that. Yeah, it's just interesting.
Well, I was just holding on for dear life at that time. I feel like you talk about YouTubers now, and it's just this term that everybody knows. But in 2010 and 2009, that wasn't the case. And I often say epic rap battles of history were the rocks that a lot of learning curves smashed up against. And we learned a lot. We learned a lot about getting, being in good deals, being in bad deals. We learned a lot about overworking and overexerting ourselves, and all kinds of stuff that people have now 10 years worth of past creators to look upon as a model. At the time when we were first doing it, my perspective was, I don't know what's going on right here. I need to be completely focused on this job right now, and trying to bring somebody from my family into it in a way that's not part of this plan that I really don't even have yet is going to kind of veer me off the course. So let's just focus on, you go to school and I'm going to do this job, and let's not make them blend right now. That was, 9 years ago.
But it's also interesting. Another question was, in what ways has your work been able to overlap? And if we take rap battles aside, and so you are one of the owners of the improv troupe that came to my campus called Mission Improbable. They still tour today, and the theater out in Santa Monica. And you all do shows on college campuses and Navy, and this is not an advertisement, but that's like was always the original overlap for us, was like serving colleges in entertainment and education. And like I even from the get-go was giving you notes about your reel, like your VHS tape that you would send to campuses, because I was like, this was horrible. I didn't want to hire you because of this, right? And like y'all heard it and made some edits, right? Or these other shows that you've created, I feel like that's made sense completely for me to kind of voice my thoughts about.
Yeah.
That's been a cool overlap, I think. And then I was the one to get you on literally every single social media platform.
Yes.
Other than YouTube, you were like, Instagram, are you seriously, Josie? He did not want anything.
That's my favorite one now.
I know, right?
I mean, I feel like the question of how do we overlap is almost like, how do we not? Like I confer with you on almost every video. I'm asking you to look at it first. I'm always using you as if I have to like pitch something to Pete, I'll be like, well, Josie laughed at this,
What?
And he does the same thing with Kristen. It's like you guys are a pulse of a very raw nerve that we're both connected to.
We'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's a barometer. It's a barometer of what I think is funny. If it made you laugh, that's good. If it didn't, if you had a concern about it, it didn't. So I think it overlaps in all kinds of different ways. Everything from that to, what do I wear at this award show? What do you wear at this, engagement that you have? All this type of thing is, I feel like it overlaps everywhere.
I think a pro of us being creators is we get why, like, you might all of a sudden get this flash of inspiration and disappear in your studio for 3 hours. And that, if anything, like obviously if we had plans, that'd be a bummer. But if not, I'm excited for you because I know what that's saying. Like yesterday, I finally had this like something that came through and I was like, I got to hold on to this and get this edits to this chapter out. So I think we get that. Or that might cause some problems.
No, I think it's nice to know how somebody else feels in those moments.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing this to be like a trickster. Everyone asks me this all the time. When does Josie get another ERB video? Maybe just answer or talk about what the one video I was in and how that came about.
Okay. The video that you were in was David Copperfield versus Harry Houdini. And it was Harry Houdini's wife was integral in his career. She was part of the business plan. She would be in the box. She was like the woman that he would saw in half and all of these things. And so it was, and also you kind of you had the look of her. So it was a perfect fit. It had always been something that we'd want to do, It is difficult to get people who aren't rappers to do the videos. Every time we try and think it's gonna work, you forget that, this is what we do. We've been doing this a long time and not everybody can rap like this and we're not trying to brag or whatever. And then on top of that, then you have to play a character. So you're like, okay, now you got to do that same rap in a British accent and you have to be 75. So it's never that I don't want you to be in the rap battle or be in a battle. It's always like, how can we make this fit and make you look great, So I think you'll make another appearance someday soon. Maybe Chickering.
Oh, geez. I'm in behind the scenes most of the time, trying to stay behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite battles, obviously, are ones with women. And they're not like Mamrie,
Yeah.
Hannah, and Grace. Y'all coach them. Like, they're obviously performers, but those were all really fun. And my favorite battle is Easter Bunny versus Genghis Khan.
Yeah?
It's super fun. Yeah. And that's another question you get asked every single time, and I'm not going to ask you because people can go look that up.
But you can also look, Josie's
deeper.
in a lot of other music videos of mine, though. She's in maybe 4. You're in...
Early ones, yeah.
You're in Holding the Seams Together. You're in Ain't Got No Watch, which people love. I do music also like original music, EpicLloyd.com. But I do, and it's actually one of the really nice benefits of doing a big project on YouTube is like I get the freedom to do little things on the side. But you've been in those 2, and I know you've been in more. I just can't think of them right now. Yeah, Pawn. You played that was the first one I ever did.
Yeah, I'm around. Okay. Any questions you want to ask me about creators in love that the community didn't ask before we really get talking about rap battles more?
Sure. How do you feel about creators who make their living off of showing their families to the world? Like the whole family.
I think at the beginning, folks that we would hang out with a lot that were like YouTube vlogger families, like really were just doing things day in the life. They weren't doing it for like, ooh, we got to do this thing for the algorithm, or we need to do this prank, or I'm going to lie to my kid and tell him, like somebody died. Now we're seeing like literally unethical stuff that parents are doing to their kids that are the code of ethics is do no harm. And right now, I think like obviously like society is trying to regulate them. And I do think there's been some parents that have gotten in trouble for, I think there is maybe we can find that article.
Their kids taken away.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, good.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was always intent. Their intent wasn't to, I do think there are families that have a good message to spread. And I think what I wish they would document more, and maybe they do these at things like VidCon, is I think the parents or whatever you define yourself, it's literally like getting consent along the whole process and explaining it to a kid. If they don't want to show up in a video, or if they don't want to show up at all, that needs to be like a huge part of conversation with, we don't have kids. I don't have to ask our dog if he wants to be in an Instagram story. But like one woman, she's a vice president and she's got a young daughter, and she's like, I ask her every single time. Yeah. Not only can I take your photo, but especially can I post it? Do you want to see it? Yeah. How do you want us to respond to this? Because that's also role modeling and teaching them when they do have their own Instagram, what that could look like.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of the things that the movie business, the TV business, the classic, before there was online entertainment, there's just like TV and film, and they have a lot longer history, right? 100, 200 years, and they do that a lot better than digital right now in terms of if you have a child on set, there's a certain amount of hours he can work. There's got to be a teacher there. There's all these regulations. Their money has to go to the right place. Traditional does it a lot better now. If you could have a YouTube page or an Instagram page where your 2-year-old son is the main moneymaker of that because of his face.
Unboxing videos.
Yeah. If that kid decides one day that he doesn't want to do that anymore, his parents, that could ruin them. And they're making decisions based off of that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That I think that we should change.
Who knew kids would really be so excited just to watch a toy being opened?
Or is that super sad because some kids just don't have any toys? Like
no,
like, I
do
think
toys.
I'll just watch somebody else open a toy.
People listening, you can correct me in what I'm hearing is just kids with plenty for what they need, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, interesting stuff. Okay, so we're staying on YouTube, we're staying on the internet and relationships. So the same day I met you in 2003 is the same day that I met Pete Shukoff, who's the co-creator with you of Epic Rap Battles of History. What does it really mean to be co-creators of a project?
It means we're business partners, is a really good way to think of it. We came up with the idea together and we sort of birthed it together, and we're almost like co-parents of it. We watched it grow, and we both had different responsibilities and jobs, and we went through our status change and like rubbed heads and knocked elbows, and I don't know if those either make sense, but it means that we're the co-founders. We're the two guys, the two faces of it, and we have a big, great team that we work with. Not big, but every step of the way, there's been people that we would not have been able to do the show without them. But we've been the two that the buck has sort of stopped with.
So Pete came out here, it had to have been like 2008, 2009 to LA. Like everyone makes the pilgrimage at some point, like Chicago or East Coast or whatever. And just like you had been doing, like taking up jobs. I think he was a bartender, but he also was just a talented musician that toured the world, but just like in really gritty corner armpit bars and singing songs that like
dirty songs. Yeah.
He was kind of like the Adam Sandler of Showtime, maybe of like back in the day Showtime. I don't know.
No, he would just play bar shows, and you got to do certain. He's the type of guy that he's going to do what he needs to do to get the crowd going, and he was great at that. And he, in a drunken bar, like people like little dirty songs, and he would do covers, and he would tour and grind it out just like a lot of other people.
So I know college campus comedy shows get a bad rap, right? But when you do want to hire a friend that has talent, but you know that they do play kind of, like you said, dirty. I hired him for one of his first gigs at a campus I was working at, and I had to have that dance of like, okay, how can we make this work and you not get me fired?
Right.
And I brought him back multiple times and it was at a bar. It was at the student bar.
The Lions?
And students, no, the Loft. Students loved him. He was...
Yeah, he always says that that's the thing that made him able to move here. College gigs are sometimes awful, sometimes great, but usually good or decent money. Especially if you're a comic. If you're touring the clubs, unless you're a headliner or you really got a sweet gig someplace, you're not going to make a lot of money. But college gigs are a decent paycheck. And when you're moving from Chicago to LA, you got to have a little nest egg. And that was the thing that you giving him that job was the thing that made him able to move here.
He owes me big time. I can't believe he didn't name his first child after me. So I remember y'all having a conversation early on at Venice Beach about this concept of like putting characters against each other, like rapping, dressing up, recording it. Pete had already been on YouTube, like doing these picture songs and vlogs and whatever. What did you think the original intent was of Rap Battle at its birth? Why did you do it? Like, did you think it was just going to be funny? Was it to inform people about these characters? And then what has it turned into today?
I didn't have any preconceived notions about what it was going to be or what it should be or why we were doing it. I was a young, hungry actor, raptor, living in Los Angeles. Pete was one of the guys that I would hang out with anyway. We would make little songs together and stuff. There's a lot of guys in Mission Improbable and girls. And there's so many now that it would be impossible to hang out with all of them. But Pete and I always sort of kicked it off and hit it off. So we were hanging out anyway. And then every once in a while when I would start going over to his house, he would be showing me like these videos, like, check this guy out, Kasim G. Look at this. Look at all these views he's getting. And people are making money doing this. I'm like, what is this? So I did have a little inkling of that. And then I started seeing him do these things. And he's doing these vlogs. And then I got an email. I was working at Westside Eclectic at the time. I got an email from the Fine Brothers looking for talent at this little company that they were called The Station, which ended up turning into Maker. So I sent them Pete, and he started making little songs over there. Then he met Danny Zappin, and that got his channel going. I was doing a freestyle rap show at the comedy club, and there was a segment called Celebrity Rap Battle. Pete wasn't even in that show. Zach and I were in it. Zach is one of the writers that we have, Zach Sherwin. Get suggestions from the audience, and then be like Shia LaBeouf versus Justin Bieber. And then we would freestyle a battle against each other. Pete saw that and he was bubbling up this channel and was like, let me ask my people who watch my videos every week to tell us who to have battle rap each other. I think it could be a cool video. So that was it. It was just a kernel. It wasn't like, and then we'll do this, and then it'll be this, and then it'll be that. None of it. It was just, let's just throw a bunch of nets out there and see what sticks. And hopefully one of them will. The turning point for me was when I got the first cut of the first edit back. I was like, oh, it was immediately the best thing I'd ever done. I have to owe a lot of that to Dave McCary, who was our first director and main editor, and he's at SNL now. He's made a movie, and he was just a huge talent. But it was immediately the first thing I saw was immediately the best thing. I was like, this is really good. And the thing that defines a viral video for us is if I show you a video, does it raise my status? Like, does it make me cool? Or does it make me, you know what I mean? Like, if then you want to show somebody else because it'll make you a little bit cooler. You know what I mean? And I felt like I wanted to show everybody that video. All my friends, everybody. Just look at this. Holy crap. I came home and showed you. So that's how it started. I think that was a long way around it. And what it is now it's more like, you know, a bit much bigger production. It's a movie making a little bit. It's music video making, but we're shooting on location and we're shooting makeup and we're shooting practically and we have all these cameras and stuff. So it's much bigger now, but there's no bigger purpose to it other than let's just make killer videos. That's what I really learned from Pete is I'm a multitasker. I got a lot of balls in the air. I know a lot of people. I got a lot of projects going on a long time, and that's good. But Pete has the ability to laser focus on things, which means he says no to a lot of things that you should probably say yes to. A lot of people would, but he's very skilled at being able to put the most important thing first and keeping it first. And that is, it doesn't matter about the Patreon. It doesn't matter about the Twitter page. It doesn't matter about the Facebook page. If this video isn't an A+, none of that exists. So this has to be first. So that's really what it's all about. Now, after this break we've taken, and we have all these pieces in place that we've been spending time on, now we're really ratcheting back to making these videos make people feel awesome inside when they see them. Yeah, and that's the sort of fire right now.
So last month, in March, we did this talk called Epic Rap Battles of Higher Ed History.
Yep.
Where you were a dropout and I was a degree seeker, because that's true. And we talked about how rap battles are educational, that 7th grade teachers use them and philosophy professors. And I'm assuming y'all didn't think the intent right away was that they would be used in that educational manner, even though the caliber was always every single thing we say is going to be like on point. But the other thing with the community too is I feel like you didn't go in saying like, this is going to go viral. We want to be digital influencers. Like we want to get brandy. Like you just wanted to make something really good. And so it's pretty cool to hear now that you want to make something that makes people feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, like, educational music was whack to me. Like, I always want to just be a real rapper. You know, the only difference between the rap battles and a regular battle rap when we were making them, in my opinion, was you just understand the jokes a little bit better because you know the characters. I never wanted to be like Schoolhouse Rock. That was so lame to me. I really am sort of that generation. The generation that came up now is like, nerds win, man. It's cool to be in, like, it's cool to, and I'm so glad for that. But that is not from where I came from. Like, where I came from, you know, you try to be tough. You don't, you try to be like a hard, I came up with like the time of the Wu-Tang Clan and all that stuff. So I never wanted our raps to be like, boo, and I still don't. I always like I don't get the nerdy stuff. We curse. I want to say things that hurt your feelings. I want to insult people. I want to be raunchy and raw. And exactly that thing is what made the education and stick, because you could smell that on the project.
It was authentic.
Yeah, but it was cool. Sure. It wasn't like if we were trying to be like, okay, kids, here's what Henry VIII did. Like, no one wants to hear that. Mm-hmm. They wanted to hear him rip into, Hillary Clinton or something. So it sort of became the counterculture ended up being educational by just happenstance.
It was real and raw and obviously well received in that format.
Yeah.
You have been banned in some countries.
Yes.
So we took those off of the vacation wish list now.
Well, that was just what made us more popular, though. As soon as we got banned, we got way more popular. Funny. It was like, wow, that's the internet, right? That's how it works. So
you still abided by do no harm. It wasn't like you harmed anyone, and that was the reason why you were banned. It was just like what you said or who the character was or whatever. They didn't like the content.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you.
No.
Okay.
We'll include it in the show notes. So part of the impetus for the season coming back, you're doing a Patreon, you've reformatted your team, is there's been an evolution of the business of Rap Battles, and now you are independent. So going forward, like, what does that really mean? What is your 5-year plan of Epic Rap Battles of History?
Oh my gosh. Don't have a 5-year plan. Don't have a 5-month plan. We have a 5-day plan.
That is not true. You know what this next year is.
I mean, the difference between us and being fully independent means everybody who works for us works just for us, which is great. These are pros, you know. We don't have to ask permission. There's a lot less red tape. There's a lot less regulations. And then on the other side of that is everything's on us. We have to write all the checks. We have to pay everybody. Any kind of, back in our old days, we didn't really think about that. We just kind of did and spent and did whatever. And now we really have to be cognizant of the bottom line. That's, I think, a good thing for us. We're learning to work within those constraints and still make great content. So I think the 5-year plan, if you ask me and Pete, there'd be 2 different answers, really. And that's probably something we should sit down and hash out.
Let's get him on the podcast. He's coming over in a little bit to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I will bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, I would like for us to become a cool little, nimble, edgy, artsy production company that has a couple of flagship shows starring EpicLloyd and is able to exist on its own and put out good content that we like, and then fold that into a live touring aspect so we can do some traveling and have some sort of a schedule where we're on set for 6 months, on the road for 3, off for 3, something like that, some kind of pace that, you know, works with your schedule. And we've talked about this.
Where can I put in suggestions for touring locations?
Australia.
That's awesome. Well, so this year, your intent is to release monthly starting on April 20th. And then May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Is it on the May 4th?
Oh,
is
fun.
Gosh.
Oh, geez.
It might be the 4th or the 5th.
Or the 5th. There's still the rollover. And then you're releasing that'll be fun. And then you're releasing monthly for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Through December. That's 9 battles, I think. That'll be a good season.
So you talked a lot about what Pete gives to the project, like laser focused, can say no. What is it that no one else but you has given to this project? I mean, not saying like nobody else could do it, but like co-creators, what is that thing that folks could know? Like that's a Lloyd stamp on what you give.
I can't tell. I don't know. That's a hard question. I'd like to think that...
Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, you tell me. You tell me.
Okay, my answer is I think you bring the people to life in the project. That supervision is hard, and that's not what y'all call it in your team, but almost everyone that works there, at least that's worked there for a long time, like you have found along the way and have just formed this family and retained them, and you know like good talent, and you really celebrate it and celebrate the person. I think that's a huge piece because you see the outward face of what Rap Battles is, but there's so much, you know, behind the scenes of it. Like really, really good people. I think that's something that you give. I think you're always coming up with ideas, but you get your ego mostly out of the way if they don't have it.
Yeah. Have to learn that early.
Yeah.
Can't be practiced.
And then you're writing. We wrote a rap battle for our talk. And I mean, I've known you're a writer. I've known you've been writing rap battles. Like I've seen these performed, but you just would come up with stuff on the fly, like a line. I'm like, how did that come out of you? I was like, that's amazing. Like you would just, it's not improv. It's like,
go on.
Secret, that sauce is just, I'm so glad you have this outlet that can be put to use.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Thanks, babe.
That would be.
I call my wife babe, by the way. Thanks, Dr. Josie Ahlquist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe that's plenty. I also have a large mouth. I have a big, loud mouth. I do think some of the improv training and some of the improv performance stuff helped with like big over the top characters on camera. Like I would always get told, and I've never booked a commercial, auditioned maybe 1,000 times. And they're always like, bring it down. You got to ratchet it down. You got to be more subtle. I'm like, subtle's not my strong point, y'all. So finally I was able to do like giant German accents and like over the top wrestling characters. And it just really worked. And that sort of character acting, I think, helped too.
What did your dad say about like your head or your face is very...
Oh, he said it's perfect for wigs.
Okay.
It's like almost like a bastardization of like, you got a face for radio, kid.
you got a head to cover up.
Yeah. He's like, you really disappear into those costumes. I'm like, are you happy about that?
Sometimes, yeah, like people, you get recognized, but sometimes you may not just because you get so transformed in a character.
Yeah.
It's fun to see you get recognized. I enjoy it.
Oh.
People are like, does it bother you? I was like, no, that's what he wants. Of course that's what I want to see. Just stay some distance.
Yeah, just back off.
This is my man. Okay, I have a few wrap-up questions. How are you doing?
I'm great.
What are other projects you've got going on that we should know about?
The West Side Comedy Theater is my home. It's my third place. It's the community that I love here in Los Angeles. It's a comedy theater that I started with my friends. It's my family there, and that's like my boat. I'll always tinker with it. I'll always hang out on it. I'll always go there when I'm feeling down or blue. And if I have an idea that I want to try to throw up on the stage, I have that freedom. It's the best. So that's always going to be there. And outside of that, right now, I don't have too many other creative projects going on. Do I?
You have a podcast every Wednesday.
Oh, God. I have a podcast. That's true. I just, here's the thing about the podcast, and this is a good thing, is it's just worked into my life now, and it doesn't feel, it's like something I just do every week, like karate class. So I have a podcast called Kings of Influence, and it's every Wednesday at noon, and I do it with my friend Ray William Johnson, who's another content creator, YouTuber, and a Facebook guy. And we talk about internet hot topics, and we chop it up about sometimes politics, sometimes, the latest Kardashian thing. It's like the topics can be light, but then we'll dive deep every once in a while, and it's fun. So that's every Wednesday, and we do it as a live stream on YouTube and then upload the video live stream and then make it a podcast from the audio, which is cool. And what I've learned about podcasting is that it's good to try to use things in multiple fashions, but only record them once. So if you can do a live stream, YouTube has a tool on the back where you can do a live stream, but then it converts it and records it so it's a video right there. But then you can also make edits inside of it and upload those edits as their own separate videos. So you can take an hour-long video and then right within the software of YouTube, chop it up into 5 10-minute videos and upload them all separately, and you're good to go.
Micro content.
Yeah, that was a nice way to do podcasts for us.
Ray, talking about co-creators, is definitely a genius and nerd of the internet and just loves figuring it out. It's going to change, and he's just into figuring out what that next evolution is going to be.
Yep, he's great at that.
Where can people find you to connect?
You can find me on youtube.com/ERB. I have my own YouTube page. It's youtube.com/EpicLloyd. I have an Instagram page. I think Instagram is my favorite of the platforms. It's at the EpicLloyd because some 12-year-old has EpicLloyd.
Go get him.
At the EpicLloyd. And then... if you want to support the channel, we have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/ERB, and it's a really cool. I would recommend going to check it out just to check it out. I think it's going to be massive. I think it's going to change the face of digital media in the next 5 years, mostly because it's artist facing and it lets artists work for their fans rather than for an algorithm or for the brands that are buying ads against their art. So I'd recommend checking that out.
And you're on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think your LinkedIn is Ahlquist, Lloyd. We need to update that.
Yeah.
You may not need a LinkedIn.
Hopefully I don't.
Okay, 2 questions I end every interview with, and it gets real deep. So grab the tissues.
Okay. Whoa.
Okay, just kidding. Okay, if you knew your next post on your favorite application right now, which is on Instagram, was going to be your last, what would you want it to be about?
If I knew it was going to be my last post, I mean, you and me, I guess. It would just be, family, something about people I love and something about, hey, thanks so much, Instagram. You've been great. So sorry your business has gone under. I don't know. Yeah, it would be like a nice, bittersweet, melancholic sign off, something kind of proper and classic, like how Jim Henson, I don't know, something that sort of Kermit the Froggy, like, you know what I mean? That kind of feeling. It would be, I'm a comic, but I'm also like not only a comic, and I kind of like those sentimental moments too. So it'd be something with you and the dogs. And
I appreciate as a comic, you're not always a comic.
Yeah.
Like you're funny, but yeah, there's a melancholy business entrepreneur side to you. You're not always giving me bits. There's some people at the theater, the stand-ups, they're like, I'm giving you bits right now.
Yeah, you can feel it.
And yeah, you're multi-layered. Well, so for now, what do you want it to matter that you're even on these platforms? Like when someone goes to your Instagram page or to rap battles, what do you hope that it's actually impacting the world?
I'm an improviser. That's where I came up. And the guru of improv is this guy named Del Close. And his whole philosophy was that the audience is at the pleasure of the performers. And they're just lucky to be there watching you. And even though he was the guru and all that stuff, I always thought that was BS. I, as a performer and as an entertainer, feel like I'm here to serve the audience in a way and bring them joy or bring them feelings and bring some change to them. And that feeling of giving that to them is what I thirst for, It's not like I'm forcing myself to feel that way. I actually get energized by that. So I think that if I was remembered or known as someone who brought a bunch of joy to people's lives or made them think, or, hey man, I mean, and this has happened to me. It's the best things ever. It's like, hey man, that song you wrote, I listened to that song when I was in the hospital for 6 months after a car wreck, or my buddy died, or dude, I played your song. I was an American Ninja and I played your song as my run out music. Like I get these messages, and that is massive for me, that I can have an effect on people. I want to affect people and bring some synergy between us and to as many people as I can. So I think that is why I want to create.
Well, so from the very first day that I met you, I knew there was definitely talent, that you had potential. I think it's a pretty wild way to meet your future partner, husband, is seeing them on stage and doing their craft that they love. I laughed, I cried, I fell in love.
Oh.
I knew you and Pete, even though I had no concept, like, it wasn't like I was like, who should I give my phone number to, Lloyd or Pete? There was none of that. There was just like these two, and there were many talented improvers on that stage, but there was always something about the two of you, and maybe it was because you did a couple scenes together, but I was like, these, whatever goals they have, if it is in performance, like they could be very successful. And so it's been really cool to see it all come to life. And
well, I don't think that I ever would be here without you here, so it's ours, not just mine. So there, whether you like it or not.
I got half of it.
Yeah.
A half of it. Well, I'm so excited that y'all are back in season and that it feels like y'all are in a really good space for it, both in the business and with your community and how you're creating. And as a fellow creator, having all those things in place, I know how important it is. And I get so much energy from, your success. It fuels mine. So it's a really exciting time in our lives. And I'm really pumped to get you on the podcast.
Yeah, this has been cool. We have to do this again. Check out our future podcast, Dinner for Four, Double Date.
Double Date? We have a number of podcasting ideas.
Yeah. Double Date, no kids? Should we do just the...
I don't know. Would y'all want to hear us in a full-length podcast?
We know a lot of people.
Ideas.
We know a lot of
we
people.
We have the equipment.
We do. You don't really need that much. You can just show up with a little micro. We did that at Josie's birthday the other night. We had like a cookout, and then we just
pass the mic.
That was
fun.
Around.
That was really fun.
Yeah. You had some good questions.
I put people on the hot seat.
Yeah, you did.
Well, thanks for coming on here. I really appreciate it. I love you and all of your support. And I definitely have ideas of characters that I could play in the background of a rap battle.
You were in front. Cool. Love you too, babe.
I sure hope y'all enjoyed that conversation. And I thought about not doing a post-podcast reflection, but I couldn't help it because the day I'm recording this is on April 20th, the day that they premiered their season premiere of season 6, which I'll make sure to include in the show notes. It's Wolverine, who he plays, versus Freddy Krueger, who I refuse to ever watch any of those movies. So when he was doing all this research in order to write those, I ensured I was in a different room or I was not around because they really, really go in deep culture of this stuff to really understand the characters they're playing. And a little insider, if you have seen this battle and especially the behind the scenes, which I'll link to both of them, the shots of the bedroom scene was at our place. So you get all these little Easter eggs all over the place of where we live and breathe. Not every single minute of the day, but that was kind of cool that they typically don't shoot outside of a green screen or a studio. That was one of the first times that they had done that. And so it's cool to open up the house, have the crew part of the family, because I really consider them family. And obviously consider Lloyd family. And I really enjoyed being able to share our stories individually, but then how we met, the impressions, the butterflies, all those things behind it. Since 2003, that's been a minute. And if you didn't get the sense from our conversation, a key ingredient to relationship success, whether it is a committed relationship like a marriage or a partner, maybe even a friendship or a family member, is just having the willingness and support factor to allow them and the relationship to evolve over time. Like the one thing that is sure is change. And we as people change, where we work, the projects we work on, what we look like, what our bodies can and cannot do. And that's been very important to me and to us to really be along that journey for each other. So that would be my little kernel for y'all if you're looking it's not the secret sauce, but it is definitely something. And you'll know when you're in that potential pivot points when there's another big change coming and being able to really openly communicate about it. And as creators, both Lloyd and I, we try to be really openly communicative with each other, not only like our schedules and who needs a studio or like going to be a late night or I'm going to be completely gone in this next month. But the cycles of creation really require different energies. So for me with the book, I need to be able to get lost for like 3 hours or maybe even 3 days. And sometimes when he is writing something or all of a sudden I can just see this sparkle in his eye and I know, okay, he's got to get back to his studio and get lost for the rest of the evening. And there is a post that I ran into that like creators should only marry each other or be with each other. And I don't think that's completely true, but being able to support those sparks and those flows as they come, because you can really get into the thick of it as a creator. And so we talked a little bit about that, what that really means and where we overlap and where we do not. And I find, because I am not head on into the entertainment industry and he's got a little foot into education, but not fully, we can really be critical and collaborative in unique ways from an outsider perspective, which is I've always appreciated, because for example, in higher ed, we throw around all these acronyms. We may always go along with certain ways of thinking. And then we've got Lloyd, if you listen to the Shorty episode last week or 2 weeks ago from our NASPA talk, Epic Rap Battles of Higher Ed History. He dropped out of college and he can just bring this whole different perspective to my work, and hopefully I can do that a little bit too. I don't know if it was really giving me credit. Again, we're talking about the Wolverine and Freddy Krueger battle. So they're writing at the kitchen table lyrics for this, and I'm like cleaning or like taking care of a dog or like taking a break from writing, and they were trying to, I don't know what they were trying to connect, but all of a sudden it made sense for me to say, well, that would be Justin Bieber. And that ended up in the battle. So sometimes like random things I say end up, sometimes they don't. I definitely would love to see more women in battles, which there's going to be. So that's exciting. We also got to dance around the question about me being in a future rap battle. And y'all, that'd be fun. But that's definitely one of those things that I am not pressing on him. And even when the idea came for me to be in the magician's battle, that could not have come at the worst time. It was hilarious. We just moved and closed on a house. We were in construction. I was finishing my dissertation. And the day before, I defended my dissertation. It was such a disarray, but I mean, it was also quite perfect too. Of course, all those things would happen. It wouldn't be the most ideal time, but it was a super fun day. Honestly, I don't want to rap. A rap battle. That's way too much pressure. And they really do pick folks that, I mean, that's their craft, or at least can be highly skilled in that. With some coaching. I'll do some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe there'll be a little Easter egg of me in the future. So that was a fun question to, again, kind of dance around. And Lloyd's answer when I asked him, what's your 5-year plan? Which is such like a higher ed question too, like an interview question. Or that was the first time that I really heard him describe about wanting something, about inspiring, that it wasn't just this cool card or subscribers, that it would be something where someone would really feel something emotionally. And that kind of excited me to see the evolution of this project, knowing that they didn't create these to be educational or to be mentors, but really understanding their audience to know that they're not trying to mold for clicks or for the algorithm of YouTube, that they're going to still be who they are. They also want that art and that emotion behind it that's really going to evoke something in someone when they see it. And so that was cool to hear. So Lloyd, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. Oh, there was one thing that we just glazed and grazed over very quickly is, we have been batting around an idea for a collaboration between the two of us. We knew right away that we weren't the couple or the family to be like family vloggers, right? It would just be like the Ahlquist fur family, because, that's our family. But we've thought about other things, like maybe a podcast or some other type of project. So if y'all have ideas for us, please let us know. We kind of danced around one idea that we have, and I'm sure this podcast name is taken, but the idea would be something about a double date between two couples, and define the couples however you would want. But we would talk about real issues of human relationships, and especially intimate, committed relationships, whether it was their second date or they'd been married for 30 years. I think that would just be really interesting. And maybe we talk about what we had for dinner and what we're drinking. So it would kind of be this relationship, lifestyle living, and then maybe some social stuff would come up too. Maybe we would watch or react to some, like viral video or some tweet that we saw. So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. For now, though, this podcast is going on a little bit of a break. I will have a season finale wrap-up shorty episode to give you a little bit more details of the plans for the podcast and some things that I'm working on over the summer that I am so very excited about. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, being part of this season. And Lloyd, thank you so much for being on my primary season finale episodes. I think listeners are going to really dig this. I'm sure there's some spoilers somewhere in there, but it was fun to just be able for us to show our silly sides together, and you to bring out that in me that only you know how. Thanks for checking out this episode. Please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single future episode. And please think about sharing it with your colleagues, friends, and family on all those socials that you know and love. Join the conversation, especially on Twitter, tweeting at me at Josie Ahlquist or the pod, Twitter, Josie AT Podcast. Remember, all those show notes can be found at josieahlquist.com/podcast. And hey, did you really enjoy this episode? Think about giving just a little review, from a star rating to actually writing in a little bit comments to iTunes or your favorite podcasting platforms. Having those reviews totally help with those silly algorithms that we have to dance around. If you are interested in learning more about all that I do, from speaking and consulting to my research or publishing, you can check them out at josieahlquist.com. Thank you again to our podcast sponsor, Campus Sonar. Make sure to go check them out at campussonar.com. Sending digital hugs, loves, and waves from whatever corner of the world you're listening from. This has been Josie and the podcast.